What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Boxing Club Podcast. I am yours truly, Bigg Chubbs. And today we have a very special episode for you guys today. We have somebody that has came up with some of the fights, some of the biggest fights that you guys have seen. This man goes way back in the game. He's 1/4 of the Thursdays podcast with Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer Joel Diaz. You got the DAZN broadcaster himself, Mr. 1099, Beto Duran. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Roberto Diaz.
Thank you so much, Bigg Chubbs. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, and for all the people listening in, let's have some fun. Let's talk boxing and do what we love.
Let's do it, man. So we're a podcast where everybody knows your accolades, right? But who's the man outside of boxing when you go home? Who is Roberto Diaz? Give us a little bit more about you, where you from, where you come from, how'd you grow up?
Sure. Thank you. I'm a boxing fan, first of all. First and foremost, the passion and the love for boxing. Just like everybody out there listening, would watch the fights at any time, any day, whenever. I used to watch videos of old fights. I grew up in an era which I call one of the greatest eras of boxing in the 70s and 80s. Born in San Francisco. My father loved boxing and wasn't involved in it, just loved it, watched it, betted on it, and every weekend growing up, I think that's what got me into it. Was every weekend when there was a big fight, there was a big gathering at home. This is even before the pay-per-views and everything. This was just wild world of sports. Salvador Sanchez fighting Danny Little Red Lopez. But there was a big gathering, and I just saw a party.
Right.
And I was a little kid enjoying it, and every time there was something like that big gathering at home, moved on from Sanchez to Chavez, from Chavez to Oscar, it just grew that it had boxing involved. And obviously the love and the passion for boxing grew there.
And how old were you when?
My first memory of boxing was Muhammad Ali fighting Ken Norton. I had been about 10 years old. Salvador Sanchez fighting Danny Little Red Lopez, about 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were like young.
Yeah, but I loved it. I mean, I go in the room and shadow box and then start looking for gyms on my own. And I love baseball. I love football.
We're going to get into that.
But boxing was something about it. It was just something that drove me. And look where I'm at today, working with all the best athletes in the world.
Are you like what everybody else is? Oh, I chose boxing because it's me, right? I have to win because of myself. I have to drive myself that much harder. Was it that? Or were you not a team player?
No, I love team sports. I love baseball. To play, I love baseball.
Yeah.
Boxing to watch was something that drove me. And at the time in boxing, unlike today, at the time in boxing, you go back to the 80s, any division you can pick. And I'll give you an example. Let's just pick the welterweight division. From top to bottom, and this is back in the 80s. Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Wilfredo Benitez, Roberto Duran, Pete Ranzani, Carlos Palomino, Randy Shields, Andy Price. I'm going like 10 guys into that ranking. And if I miss somebody, I'm sorry. Any of those guys could have been world champions. Back then, there was two organizations. But anyone in that ranking that I just named, Pipino Cuevas, if I missed him, anybody could have been a world champion at any time. And they were all world champions, but they all fought each other. Mm-hmm. Go to the lightweights. You had Alexis Arguello, Alfredo Escalera, Rodrigo El Diablo Valdez. I mean, you had so many names. Featherweight, Salvador Sanchez, Wilfredo Gomez, Lupe Pintor, Carlos Zarate. You had so many names in boxing. Why don't we have that today? We do have the names. They're just not as big as stars because a lot of them don't want to fight each other. Right. So we don't see them reaching their potential. growing up in that era to me was amazing. Seeing some of the greatest fights, 15 rounds.
Also, you were able to see back in the
Oh, yeah.
15 round days.
I saw the last 15 rounder, El Maromero Paez.
Oh, he's one of my favorites.
See, there you go. In the time then, a lot of people, oh, he's a clown, he's a this, he's that. But let's look back now today. Maromero Paez was a bad dude.
Yeah, hell yeah, he was.
He could take a punch. Mm-hmm. He was aggressive. And he made you miss without moving.
He was a southpaw, right?
No, he was orthodox. He was orthodox, yeah. But he was awkward. He was not your typical Mexican fighter, which, when they say today, that's the Mexican school of boxing, that's the Mexican style of boxing, that's a misconception because Mexico's had some of the greatest boxers, not just sluggers. Everybody thinks Mexico, they go in, they can take a punch, and they're brawlers. They just keep coming forward. Modern day, Canelo's shown it. He's not a brawler. I mean, he can brawl when he has to, but he's a great counter puncher. He's a great boxer. He'll set up traps. But let's go back in history. Miguel Canto had 15 title defenses, no knockout punch. And most of his title defenses were in the opponent's backyard. Mm-hmm. So to get a decision in the opponent's backyard was meaning they called him El Maestro. He was the original Maestro. Mauricio Herrera probably saw him fight because Mauricio didn't have a punch either, but he could win fights because he'd make you uncomfortable.
Man, that goes way back.
That goes way back.
So how was it for you growing up in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, knowing that the Bay is pretty rough, It has the bad stigma. Has it always been that way as when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, it was really bad. When I was a kid, it was really, really bad.
Before we continue, why don't you tell everybody where we're at? And I just want to cheers to you.
Salud.
And I want to thank you for giving us your time. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of things on your plate. But for you to take the time out of your time for us, we really appreciate you. And hopefully this is the first of many. So,
thank you very much. We're currently in Malbec, Pasadena. Family restaurant of great friends of ours. Anybody that hasn't been here, you want some great Argentine food, come on by in Pasadena on Green Street, Malbec. Ask for Pablo, Luciano, or Roxanne, and they'll take care of you.
There you go, Malbec. So cheers to everybody out there, and cheers to you. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
Ooh, that's some good vino right there. That's very good. Okay.
So growing up in San Francisco, the time when I was growing up as a teenager, gang infested. I grew up, I was born in the Mission District. I will reveal something that I've never talked about, never spoke about, never mentioned. Not because it's an embarrassment. No, on the contrary. You know what? I'm very proud of it, where I grew up, where I came from. I always say this to everybody, all of my young fighters. Keep it humble and never forget where you came from.
Right.
We all come from somewhere where maybe it's tough beginnings or something, but it's how you grow, how you come out of it, and
how you overcome it.
How you overcome it, and also I don't forget it. So I grew up in the Mission District. I grew up in a time when there was a lot of gang violence, the Cholos. It caught me. I fell into it, not because I needed it, not because most of the time it's from broken homes, only mother, so there's no father figure. I had mother and father, but I liked the lifestyle. I enjoyed.
It was attractive.
It was attractive. It was I didn't look at it as a gang. I looked at it as my friends after school, in the neighborhood, of who we got together with. But eventually it turned into that, and then it became very aggressive and a lot of violence, and it was just part of life. Luckily, I had parents that
kept you straight.
Kept on it, sent me to Mexico. My dad lied to me, said, you want a car? I'll buy you a car. Yeah, I was 16 years old.
Hell yeah, I want a car.
Of course I want a car. Nobody at 16, especially in my barrio, had a car. And I said, yeah, what do I need to do? He goes, I have some money in Mexico. If you can go get it for me because I'm sick. When you come back, bring me the money and I'll buy you a car.
Really?
The next day I was gone.
What part of Mexico?
I went to Mexico City originally. My mom's from Mexico City.
Chilango.
My mom's from El DF. Yeah.
All right.
And my dad's from Yucatan. And after about a week or two in Mexico City, I was going crazy. It was just so different, big change. I was living with my grandmother who was already 60, and it was just me, 16 years old. I called my dad and I said, hey, I want to go home. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. Let me just get your money. And he said, no, go to Mérida, and your uncle's going to get the money and give it to you. So I fly from Mexico City to Mérida, Yucatan. I'm there another couple weeks. Now it's different. I'm close to the beach. There's like 8 cousins at the house, so I'm not alone. Every weekend there's something going on. Hey, let's go to this party, let's go to that party. So I'm having a good time. 2-3 months go by. But now I'm getting desperate. I'm like, okay, let me get my money, and I want to go home. I want to buy my car. I want to be with my friends. My uncle finally tells me, hijo, there's no money, there's no car, there's no going back. They told you to come here because you were in a lot of trouble back there, which I was. I was so furious. I was so upset. I'll get on a train right now or on a bus or I'll hitchhike. I'll go home and you'll never see me again. Obviously, that didn't happen. I stayed in Mérida for 5 years, and and that helped me. That helped me. I learned a different lifestyle from drinking a kawama on the street corner to going to a club, a discotheque, the mayor's house, and having dinner and having
The mayor's house?
The mayor's house in Mérida.
No way.
I was very good friends with the son. So there was 2 different lifestyles. And you know what? I wouldn't change it in the world, because today I feel like I'm okay to have tacos on the street corner, or I'm okay to sit down with a president of a company, and I feel I can fit in both worlds,
right,
because of those situations, because I lived here and I lived there.
Wow, that's so. When you just said you were mad, right? What was really going through your mind when you're like, hey, aquí te mandaron, te portaste mal, you ain't going home? How much longer did you stay there before coming back home?
I stayed 5 years.
5 years. Damn. That's crazy.
And I adapted to a different lifestyle. To a different dressing.
It's a huge culture shock, right?
It was 2 different people. I was Nato from Sur 13 living in San Francisco, and I was Bobby, porque nobody called me Roberto. I was a teenager. Hey, what's your name? Roberto. Oh, Bobby.
They said Bobby and really?
Yeah.
You know what? We're tocayos, right? That's my name too. And when somebody calls me Bobby, I'm like, hey, that's not my name.
It's funny because anybody here, because everybody that's Roberto, they call Bobbies, right?
Right.
Anybody calls me Bobby here, it's like, no, I'm Robert or Roberto. When I'm in Mexico, because I grew up for 5 years of everybody knowing me as Bobby, nobody called me Roberto or Robert, I'm okay with it.
So
over there.
I'm a junior. So my dad was known by Uncle Bob, but only his nephews were allowed to call him Bob. You know, todos mis primos, Uncle Bob. But if somebody else called him Bob, you better look out. Like, hey, it's Robert or Roberto, nothing else.
And see, today to me, I'm similar, because people say, "What's your name?" I'm Roberto. Also, I'll call you Roberto. No, that's fine. If it's English,
it's Robert.
I'm okay with Robert. If it's Spanish, yes, I prefer Roberto.
So does it bother you when be like, hey, Roberto?
Yeah. I don't like it.
I hate that. Be like, Robert is fine, but if you're gonna say it in Spanish, it's Roberto. Mm-hmm. Or ¿Qué onda, Robert? No, I don't like that either. Because I leave the T out. It's Roberr. Robert.
Yeah.
Like no. Roberto.
Yep.
In Spanish.
And Robert in English.
Robert
I'm cool
in
with
English. That's it. I'm not Bob. I'm not Bobby. is this or that, and that's it. Or Bigg Chubbs.
100%.
Oh man, so you come back. How are you when you came back from after those 5 years? Did you go back to the Bay?
Yeah, I came back, and I was, in my mind,
Este vino está
reformed.
bueno, eh?
You like it?
Está bueno el
That's
vino.
good. That's good. I'm glad.
Hey, you guys got to come check this out. It's bomb.
Malbec, and the food gets better. I thought I'm reformed after 5 years of living in a fresa world. Okay, fresa world.
There's fresas in
Oh, yeah.
Yucatan, really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was
100%.
just like the F.
No. All over Mexico.
Really?
I mean, one of my best friends was the son of the mayor. All the juniors, their fathers owned the agency, the Ford agency, where they sold cars, or the yacht club, or politics. All juniors.
Juniors mean, by everybody who doesn't know, los juniors or the juniors is the kids of the politicians, the kids
Or
of
the rich.
the rich people. That's what the Mexicans call. Oh, pues los juniors. The juniors is all the rich kids' kids. Continue. Sorry for cutting you off.
No. So now I come back, and I go back and see the old squad after 5 years. And
Now you're gangster homies.
but they laugh at me.
You're gangster homies, right?
Yeah, I show up with
With Caprice, Capri pants.
Lacoste shirt,
Oh, man.
and maybe was it Sergio Valente or Jordache jeans. I'm going way back.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I'm 53 now, and they're like, "What the fuck? ¿Qué onda contigo,
¿Qué onda,
compa?"
güey? ¿Qué es eso?
And I'm like, "What?" Believe it or not, within 2 weeks, the Pendleton and the Ben Davis was back on, and I was like,
Did you wear Chucks or Nike Cortez?
"No, I was Chucks and Winos. They were called
Winos.
Winos. They were some black cheap shoes."
The steel toe shoes?
No, they were like cheap, $19.99 a pair or something. I don't even know. I think they still exist somewhere around there. But it was the Converse, Winos, or dress shoes, depending on what the dress was. But it was
the
Pendleton and Ben Davis.
and the ball head.
I didn't have the ball head.
Oh no, you had the slick back?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
When I had hair.
So my mom would never buy me like Dickies or Ben Davis or Frisco's or none of that. So I'm like almost 40, so I can say this. I used to go to the swap meet and steal them. And me hice una cajita. I made a little box and I would hide it like by a tree or somewhere. And every day I would go change. And one day I forgot to change. No, my mom whooped my ass. Got you.
What do you mean you forgot to change? You got home?
Coming home from school, because on the way to the bus stop, I would stop at my little spot and change. And then put my clothes and then go to school. And then when I get out of school, I'd go and I'd change and I'd just come back home.
But that day you didn't change.
That day I didn't change.
You show up as...
I showed up as Chubbs and... Oye, tú cabrón, ¿qué traes puesto? Ven pa' acá. I was like, oh, shit. No, man. Sorry, Mom, for putting you on blast. But, yeah, man, my mom whooped my ass that day. Got you.
You know what, though? That was probably what kept us from growing into... I got deep into it. I got really deep into it. I'm glad they sent me out. When I came back, and yes, I went back, and I think I got even harder because now I was older. Now I had lived more. Now I wasn't what we called the peewees. Now I was like, okay, he's one of the older guys.
Not yet an OG, but not a peewee.
Not yet. I was probably 22, and but now it was more of like, okay, I've been around because of that particular group, gang. Respected from the littler guys, known from the older guys, but still part of now, okay, he has a voice, he has something. I had a car accident in San Diego. I moved to San Diego, had a car accident, broke both my legs.
Ay, güey.
It was really bad. And that's when I realized, you know what, I can't be doing this anymore. Because I went back to San Francisco after the accident. But now, when things get tough, I can't run.
Yeah.
So now it's gonna be like, okay, what do I do? You know, you gotta stand there. I can't run. I lost the mobility to the right ankle. I almost lost my right leg.
Oh, you wait.
We went off a cliff in Tijuana, 60 feet down.
Party?
60 feet down, yeah, partying. It was February 14th, Valentine's Day, partying with two friends. I'm driving back home to San Diego from Tijuana, and we wreck. They found us hours later, wrecked, and pulled us out of the car. They had to cut the top off.
Highway.
And I spent a month and a half in the hospital, but 7 months without walking. Had to go back to learn how to walk. And that's when I realized, you know what, I can't keep this up.
Gotta change your lifestyle.
I gotta change it. And I did. Again, I don't regret. And I always say, don't forget where you came from, because you learn from every experience.
Right.
The important thing is to learn from each experience. If you don't, if it's a bad experience and you don't learn and you repeat it, then it's on you.
Right.
But if you learn from it and say, look, and I did, I use it every day. And boxing, to get back into the boxing, I use that to everybody and everything in life. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be good days. There's going to be days you just want to throw in the towel. And you know what? End it. But you got to learn from these athletes, from these champions, from the sport we love, that you got to keep fighting.
Right.
You got to keep fighting. And COVID put us to the test. I mean, nobody in our generations have ever lived anything like this. And it was a test. And I think it got longer and longer. This was a 15-rounder or more. Maybe back from the 20s or earlier when it was 50 to 100 rounds. But
yeah, it's a 24-rounder for sure.
It was a test. And you know what? We just had to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and not give up and no tires la toalla. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the most important thing, to know that as humans and together we support each other, we can overcome.
Right.
And I think that's the message out there, that we're gonna fall, but it's not about falling, it's about getting up.
Right.
Because once you fall, if you don't get up, that's a quitter.
Right.
And if you get up, no matter what happens, hey, here I am. I had a car accident. Grew up, and I'm gonna emphasize on growing up as a sureño in San Francisco was not easy.
Hell no.
Was not easy.
For those of you that don't know, that's a norteño side up there, and it's all red. It's like Mexican Bloods and Crips. They don't get along. They hate each other, and it's tough. I went to San Francisco a long time ago, and I got chased because I was dodgered out. And I have the cholo stigma. Everybody, I don't know, I hate it. So they're like, hey, what's up? I said, where you from? And I was like, nah, bro, like, I'm good. Like, I don't bang. Nah, que fuck that, que esto, que el otro. Y no, fuga, vámonos.
San Francisco, because, I mean, I don't even go there no more. Every once in a while I'll go, but it's not, I mean, I'm Southern California. I love LA. I love San Diego. I love Southern California weather. But San Francisco, and I'm a 49er, I'm a Giant.
We'll get to that in a bit.
I'm a Warrior. Hey, let's go Warriors. But
did they win yesterday?
No, they lost. And they lost big. But they'll win. But you go to San Francisco, and you're right. If you're wearing a Dodger, right away, he's from the other side.
Yeah.
And because let's just say it's 20 gangs, and 19 are norteños, because you are in the norte, they don't care if they don't get along. They will get along that day just to go get that
just
Dodger guy.
Out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, well, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So I've did my homework on you, and I heard you speak this story. Can you please tell us about the day you met Marco Antonio Barrera at the mall?
Amazing, and again, it's a dream come true. I'm a big, at the time, to this day, I'm a big boxing fan. Probably more then, because Obviously, today I'm working with some of the best athletes, and I've worked with some of them, and now it becomes like natural. It's part of the work, part of the job. But then, huge fan of Marco Antonio Barrera. Huge fan.
Prior to you meeting him, right?
Prior to meeting him. I was a big fan of Marco Antonio Barrera.
Was this before the trilogy or after?
Before. This is right after the Junior Jones loss, 96, 97. I'm a big fan at the time of Miguel Angel Gonzalez, Goyito Vargas, Bolillo Gonzalez, a lot of the young Mexican group that was coming out at that time. That group of Barrera. Of Eric Morales, a little bit younger. So he just lost to Junior Jones, and it's funny because 2 weeks before he had lost to Junior Jones, something like that. And around that time, I had been in Tijuana at a club, and there had been a big brawl with some of my friends and another group. Now everybody's going to think, man, this guy can't get out of trouble, but it happens. You know what? You're partying it.
Everybody has a history. It's just how you come up out of it. So,
and we're at Christmas shopping in San Diego at the mall, and I'm with my mother and my wife, and she tells me, "Hey, there's the guy from the fight the other day," and my back's facing the store where she sees him, and I'm thinking, okay, let's quietly walk out of the club. I mean, out of the restaurant. Out of the store. Let's quietly walk out, because I thought she meant from the club. And if he's there, he's going to be with 10 other friends, and I'm with my mom and my wife. So let's quietly walk. Oh, no, because she was with me at the club. Not from the club, from the fight on HBO. Turn around, the babyface assassin, Marco Antonio Barrera. So I walk up to him. I said, "Hey, keep your head up, champ. I'm a big fan." But think of it. Everybody walks up and, "Hey, I'm a big fan. I'm your number one fan. But I mean, he was one of my favorite fighters. And I said, "I'm a big fan. Keep your head up. You'll be back. Pleased to meet you." Okay, that was it. As soon as I walk out of the store, I said, "You know what? I got to get something for him to autograph." But I've never been, if it's baseball, I want you to autograph a baseball bat, catcher's mitt, something of baseball. If it's football, it has to be football related. If it's boxing related. I don't want, here's a napkin.
Here's my shirt.
Or here's my shirt, or can you sign a dollar bill? I don't like that. So I ran around the mall looking for a glove, looking for headgear, looking for something boxing. And unfortunately, at the mall, you'll be lucky if at Big Five you find a mouthpiece. Yeah. So I come back out, I'm looking, nothing, and then I see him walk by again. And I said, "Marco, again, I'm a big fan. I have all your fights on VHS, albums, pictures. If I give you my address, you think you could send me an autographed picture?" Give it to me. I give it to him. Thank you. Go on. A few weeks pass, and I'm thinking, he's probably too busy, forgot, or whatever. And sure enough, a few days later, I get a package in the mail, a T-shirt, Barrera T-shirt, a studio picture autographed to me, and a note. "Hey, stay in touch. Hey, thank you," and blah, blah, blah. Now, years pass, and he's going to fight at Fantasy Springs before they had the arena, outdoors. And this is before Morales won. So I said, "Oh, shit. I lived in San Diego, Chula Vista. I'm going to make the drive out to Indio. I'm going to go watch Barrera." As soon as I get there, I'm waiting outside, and he walks in with his group to check into the table to go inside the back. It was like maybe where the parking lot is today. I don't even know where they fought. Where it is today, because now we have the arena. Maybe it is where the arena is.
Where the parking structure is at now.
Okay.
The big parking one?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember...
Julio?
I don't remember who I went to go see, pero sí, era un terregal y atrásito del casino, and that's where the parking structure's at.
So that's where Marco fought, on the outdoor. So as he's checking in, I said, hey, Barrera. Obviously, I'd learned this through the years with him after, but he says, San Diego. Of course, he didn't remember Roberto, but he remembered San Diego. He met me in San Diego. And I
Right.
said, yes, come on in.
Oh, no way.
And he brings me to the back in the dressing room, and he introduces me to the whole team, his father, his brother, his uncle, his trainer, Rudy Perez, and at the time, Oscar Maldonado, who managed him. It was an exhibition fight. He fought in December, and in February, he was going to fight Morales the first time. Now, I live in San Diego. I'm a Morales fan at the time, and I'm a Barrera
Tijuana.
fan. Yeah, I'm 5 minutes away from Tijuana, 10 minutes away from Tijuana. When the beef started between Barrera and Morales,
What started that beef? Because they hated each other, right?
they did hate each other, and it was real. And I'll tell you what started it. You can't be better than me if I'm Mexican.
Nah.
And that's the thing. That's the problem with us Mexicans.
El orgullo mexicano.
A huevo. There can't be both of us. There has to be one of us.
Hay un chingón nomás.
Yep.
That's it.
Marco had lost to Junior Jones twice, so everybody thought Marco was on the down. Eric was undefeated. I'll tell you a little story that nobody even knows, or not a lot of people may know. Morales fights for the first world title against Daniel Zaragoza, also from Mexico City. He asked Barrera to help him with the mittman. If you guys remember, Barrera's mittman was from Japan, Sendai Tanaka. Very good mittman. He still trains today, Jorge Linares and many other fighters in Japan. Sendai Tanaka went to camp with Eric Morales to get him ready for that world title fight. Eric Morales wins the world title and tells Sendai Tanaka, stay with me, I'm a world champion now. He's not.
Oh, no.
And Sendai said, no, my job was to come here for one fight. We did it, congratulations, I'm back with Barrera. True story.
No way.
True story.
Wow.
Shows
Hey, that's
loyalty of the
Loyalty.
Japanese,
Yeah.
of Sendai personally. And he continued till Marcos ended his career.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
the rivalry starts because I think media had a lot to do with it. The past, the present, it starts growing. They had a couple run-ins, sparring. One of them said, I got over on him, le metí sus chingadazos. The other one said, no es cierto.
Yeah.
Do it again. They were both in camp in El Otomí once. There was a soccer match. They played a little cascarita. It almost came to blows between both teams.
No way.
Yeah.
Damn.
Marco did say, you know what? Morales does play good soccer.
Really?
But Morales got a couple kicks in from Marco.
Dirty cheap shots.
And he said, you kick me again, I'm going to kick your ass. And Marco says, kicks him, and says, kick my ass. No, it was real.
Wow.
It was real. We didn't have social media.
And no
Imagine
Instagram,
that.
no
Imagine
YouTube, nothing.
they couldn't call each other out on social media, so it had to be real. It had to be legit. And they broke it up. The team members from each side broke it up. So when that whole thing happened, that they were originally going to fight, the first fight, I did like both. I mean, as a Mexican,
As you should.
yeah, and it was never thinking they were going to fight each other. I had to make a pick. And I'm like, who am I going to go with? And look, maybe I've always liked the underdog. The Sureño living in the Norte.
It all ties together.
I think that's why I said earlier that we learn from our past. The experiences we have build us to who we become. And I said, you know what? I'm a Barrera guy.
Yeah.
And when I met him at the mall, and when I went to Indio, my whole conversation in India was, look, I want to go support you when you fight Morales, because that fight was December. The fight with Morales was already done. February 19, 2000. And I said, I just want to be a part of your group. I'll buy my tickets, I'll pay for but I want to be with the Barrera
The whole
fans,
camp.
like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
if that exists.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw him in Big Bear a couple times. I went to the camp. I saw him spar, train. We became very close. Today we're compadres.
Really?
I am godfather to his firstborn, Marco Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good friends with Morales. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm compadre to Morales' younger brother. I'm godfather to his daughter for 15 años. So
Oh, wow.
I can probably say I'm the only person that's a compadre of a Barrera and of a Morales. Not of Eric, but of his younger brother.
Oh man, that's crazy. Let's cheers to that.
Salud.
Salud. Man, that's crazy. See, I love getting these inside scoops and these stories that are not really told, that are not really known. You know what I mean? I think that's what takes us apart from everybody else. I guess I want to be a little bit different and have my own lane. You know what I mean? That's why I don't just ask boxing questions, or our fans like to get to know you as a person.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? There's more to you than just boxing, and stories like these are amazing. You know. So that's before you are a matchmaker. You already know Barrera, and you know you're affiliated. How is it, or what happened that you came into being a matchmaker? Because you never fought, right? You were never amateur.
I did PYC and PAL in San Francisco. PAL is the Police Activity League.
Mm-hmm.
PYC is Police Youth League. Police Youth. PYC. No, PYC is, I think, when you got arrested. Sorry, PAL. Okay. I confused one with the other. PAL. Let's just keep it at PAL. Police Activity League. I did a few amateur fights. I wanted to go pro. In fact, when I lived in Mérida, Miguel Canto's brother, Carlos Canto, wanted to turn me pro, but I was like 16, 17. I didn't understand then, but today I do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, hey, I got a gringo here that can speak English, and he's tall because I was in Mérida, you know, the shorter fighters, and I can make money. My dream was like, no, I want to go to the Olympics. I want to be an amateur star. I want to be. I didn't even think.
I want a gold medal.
Yeah. Had the car accident. That's over. But the days with Marco taught me a lot about the fighter side. And I learned to respect that. I mean, I went to camp with him for maybe 10, 12, 13 fights.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we would be in camp. All of us would have to diet. All of us would have to run. All of us would have to live the lifestyle, not seeing family, kids, nobody.
Man, I wish I can do that. I need to be in somebody's camp.
The first 2 weeks were good. It was vacation away from home. The next 4 to 5 weeks was like, let's just get this fight over with. I want to go home. But it was healthy. It was good. I mean, I'd lose 20, 25 pounds each camp. Obviously running, dieting, and living the lifestyle. But so you learn to respect the fighter, because you learn that, you know, boxing it's a lonely sport. They don't see the family if a fighter's fighting 2 or 3 times a year, they're not seeing their family during the camp.
Right.
Most of the time. It's a lonely sport because once you're in the ring, it's just you and your opponent. It's a jealous sport because if you cut corners, you don't do the running, you don't do the training, te va a cobrar factura.
Yeah.
That's how we say, te va a cobrar factura, because you can only cheat yourself. But at the beginning with Marco, it was carrying the flag in the ring. That was, to me, hey, I'm a fan, I'm going to carry the flag inside the ring. Oh, Hamed fight, the Morales fights. That to me was just, that was fulfillment.
Right.
Marco's going to basically retire after the Marquez fight, and Golden Boy gives me a call. Eric Gomez gives me a call. I'm in South Africa with another fighter named Manuel Mantecas Medina, who won the featherweight world title 5 times. Tremendous fighter. And Eric calls me and says, "Hey, Golden Boy's growing, and we'd like for you to come on board. I'd like to offer you a job."
Golden Boy was already established. It's already up and running.
Yes.
What year was this?
Like 2006, 2007.
Okay.
Marco was a Golden Boy fighter at the time, but he's about to retire. So Eric calls me and says, "What are you going to do?" At the time, and this will make everybody laugh, I was a probation officer.
Oh.
So I went from one side to the other.
Hey, if you can't beat them, join them, right?
I said, "Okay, let's start arresting the Robertos." Again, I got into probations because I thought, let me help this youth get that mentality of that lifestyle out of their head. You know, let's try to reform. So I was a probation officer in San Diego. I said, I'm going to go back to probations. You know, I was doing probations and I was working for Barrera. And he goes, "We want to offer you a job here at Golden Boy." Doing what? Matchmaking. You have a good eye. Because they would give me opponents for Barrera, and I would say, "Nah, I don't like that style for him." No. Because at the time when Marco goes to Golden Boy, Marco says, "Hey, no more carrying the flag and no more this, no more that. You start doing the negotiations and
Oh, really?
Yeah, you and my brother work on it."
So your guys' relationship really grew.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it became from being a fan and friends to, like I said, I'm a godfather to his firstborn.
Wow.
Marquito is my godson. And the first couple of days, I couldn't sleep because I was ready to say, "No, Marco, you need somebody with more experience." I had never managed a fighter, but I love boxing. I knew styles. At least I thought I knew the styles and who and not. And during the time, I said, "You know what? Let's gamble." And that's another message to those that listen is always bet on yourself and believe in yourself. Because if you want that dream to come true, you have to fall a couple times and get up and keep going.
It's like riding a bike, right? You're going to fall.
You're going to fall, and nothing's perfect. If you remember Marco's first fight with Golden Boy, he got knocked out and lost against Manny Pacquiao.
That was his first Golden Boy fight?
An unknown little Filipino windmill that we thought, nothing special.
I thought the same thing when I first seen him.
Nothing special. I said, "Marco," Agapito gave him a hard time with that jab. Marco's jab, because Marco's a natural left-handed who fought right-handed. I said, "Marco, your jab is a real punch." We got him. And we fought Manny Pacquiao and lost. And I said, "Oh my God, ya valió. Ya valió. We're going to get cut. We're going to get dropped. Oscar stuck with Marco. Marco wanted to prove to Golden Boy and to the world that it wasn't the southpaw. So the very next fight, he fought Paulie Ayala and knocked him out. Marco had a hard camp with Manny. And there's no excuse. I mean, Manny, look who he is today. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, a legend.
Philippine president.
Yep. They robbed him, as Bob Arum said last night. They robbed him. They robbed him the elections. But at the time, Marco had a very hard camp. We went to Big Bear. There was fires in Big Bear. They kicked us out. Get a knock on the door. I opened the door, and the sheriff, "Hey, you guys got to leave this house." And I said, "Oh, they think we're Mexicans in this cabin." I said, No. They let us borrow the cabin. They said, "We didn't break in. This is De La Hoya's cabin. He let us borrow it." I'm with Marco Barrera. He's, getting ready to fight. No. You don't understand. There's a major wildfire, and we're evacuating Big Bear. So we jump it. Now, remember this. Listen to this one. It took us 2 SUVs to drive up to Big Bear because we had sparring partners and luggage and fighters and camp and cook and trainer. But that other SUV left because we're staying in camp now. So now there's only one SUV but you have 15 people. So that's where that thing, I think that story started. How do you fit 15 in a Mustang, in a Volkswagen? Well, it was 15 plus luggage in an SUV. And we get down, and it looked like something out of a movie.
Really?
Everybody was running around Big Bear. There was fires,
Ceniza
gas
everywhere.
stations. I mean, it was just horrible, bumper to bumper to get down. We get to LA. We set up in a hotel, and we start camp. But now that we're hearing fires are reaching Tijuana, San Diego, because the wind is taking the fires everywhere, and we're thinking, are we gonna have to move from here? You know what? Where's the fight gonna be? San Antonio. Let's just go. Let's get out of this.
That was at the Alamo Dome and at the Alamo Dome, yeah.
Correct. So we get to San Antonio, and we go out to run in the mornings, and Marco, after 10 minutes, would say, let's go back. I'm not feeling it. It was humid. Big Bear was cold. Marco loved to run in the cold because you cover up and you sweat.
Yeah.
But in the humidity, you can't cover up. You start undressing, you start dropping coats and shirts and everything, and it's still humid.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's just get the treadmill.
I have family in San Antonio, right? My dad's from Texas and my mom's from Zacatecas. So we visit Texas a lot. I've never seen all 4 seasons in one day. In one day. Me levanté en la mañana. I woke up in the morning, hungover. Because I go to Texas to party with my cousin. I woke up hungover. It was hot. I was like, oh yeah, a little basketball pickup game. Sweat it out. Cool. The clouds came in. And I was like, shit, where the hell did the sun go? It got cold. And then you hear thunder. And I was like, dude, what the heck? I was like, hey, is San Antonio always like this? They're like, bro, it's only 1 o'clock. You still have the rest of the day, so who knows what's going to come. So we went to the store to curarnos la cruda, right? And then the sun was gone. No, it was gone.
Okay.
And then you hear one big old thunder go boom, and the water just hits. And I was like, what the heck? So the clouds leave, the sun comes up, but it's still raining. I've never seen it rain when the sun's out, ever, until I went to San Antonio.
So now you say, hey, San Antonio's some confused weather. To the fans out there, a shout out, because they are some of the best boxing fans that I've ever lived with. I mean, that I've ever experienced. They have diehard.
We have a big following in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, we a lot of our listeners come from Texas, from El Paso, from San Antonio,
That's awesome.
From Houston. So shout out to Texas, shout out to H-Town. You know, we love you, and thank you guys for the support. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Virgil Ortiz.
Virgil Ortiz. So wow, man, that's a crazy story. So now you're a matchmaker. You got the job. What is your first fight that you brought together?
The very first fight, I was not taken by the hand and said, okay, look, this is what you're going to do. These are your responsibilities. Let me take you to an event, and this is how you got to do it. I was said, hey, the first show, I think it was in January. We have a Telefutura show in a couple weeks. So I start working at Golden Boy like in October, November. But I report to the office in January. I'm told February maybe. We have our first Telefutura show of the year. You're going to handle it. Okay? But I went alone. And then maybe a week before, a week and a half, Eric's the matchmaker. I'm helping him. I'm the assistant matchmaker at the time. That's what I was hired for. And Eric comes and says, hey, we lost the co-main event. Just make something, and here's your budget. You got $20,000, make a fight. How do I start? Where do I do? What? So I'm like, wow, okay. I've had this guy call me from Chicago for years. I started working with Barrera and managing a couple young fighters. hey, I have this Puerto Rican kid from New York. If you ever want to match him, or you have any, Jeffrey Resto, he's available. Okay, I'll let you know. But I'm not working for a company. I'm not working for Golden Boy at the time. He would just call me because, I don't know, we met on a chat room or something.
They had chat rooms back in the day?
They had little chat rooms. Like, it wasn't, it was like boxing. It was Boxing Talk, a website. But there was like a little group that from their followers had this chat room, and I've actually met a lot of the guys through the years in person, but they were all members there. And then I had a kid in Tijuana whose manager would always call me, hey, if there's ever a fight or anything. So I'm like, Mexico against Puerto Rico.
Perfect.
That's always been my go-to. That's always been my go-to. You can't go wrong.
Right.
So I'm given a week and a half to like, hey, make a fight. Here's your budget. Do something. 24 hours, I can't sleep. I'm like, where do I start? Who do I call? What? Hey, will Jeffrey Resto fight in Boston? Yes. Will Humberto Tapia fight in Boston against Jeffrey Resto? Yes.
Perfect.
Do the fight. I get to Boston. It's snowing. Now, I hate the cold. That's why I ran from San Francisco. I hate the cold. It's snowing. I remember telling the local promoter, because obviously it's a Telefutura show. Golden Boy brings the TV. The dressing has to be all Golden Boy. I show up with a huge body bag of the dressing for the ring. And I tell the local promoter, hey, who does your ring? Because I need them to dress it. We don't dress rings. But nope, sorry, it's on you. So I'm like, holy shit, I've never dressed a ring before. I'm like, okay.
And dressing the ring is
Putting the ropes, putting the pads, putting it together, because the ring is just the ring and the ropes without the covers,
and the
without
four poles.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God. The main event, Antonio Escalante against a kid named Berranza. Antonio Escalante is from El Paso, overweight. Berranza's team is Nacho Beristain and Juan Manuel Marquez's team, and says he better lose the weight. Okay, we got a couple hours for him to lose the weight. 2 hours later, the kid Escalante's back, says I'm ready to go on. So I called the other team, hey, you guys need to come back so he can get on the scale and you guys can witness it. Oh, we're eating. We'll be there shortly. Meanwhile, this kid been losing weight. He just wants to drink something. So 5 minutes pass, 10 minutes pass, and the kid's like, hey, am I the Golden Boy fighter or what? And I'm like, yeah, you're the Golden Boy. So can I get on the scale? I'm ready to make weight. If they're not here, that's not my fault, which he's right. They should have left somebody behind. But they're not here yet.
You think they did that on purpose?
No, they went to eat and do their thing, but they're not coming back with an urgency. So I said, you know what, Escalante? It's my first show. Yes, you're right. You're the Golden Boy fighter. Get on the scale. Hey, Telefutura producer, witnesses, commission, you guys are here. Everybody's there to witness. Escalante gets on the scale, makes weight, starts drinking Gatorade. When the other team walks in, he's drinking Gatorade and starts fighting. Hey, we never saw him make weight. I know, bro, but you're like 30 minutes late. I'm not going to have the kid like pass out.
Yeah.
He needs to hydrate and needs to eat. You guys have been eating. Yeah, because we made weight. Okay, but so did he. We didn't witness it. It became a feud and a fight. And it's like, we're not going to fight. This is the main event now. We're not going to fight. I'm not going to lie to you over a fight like this. Come on, please. Trust me. He made weight. Look, the commission, did you see him? Yes, he made weight. Producer. And then the other team says, yes, producer, you just want a show to go on. So, it got
Excuse
so
for
bad.
everything.
And I'm like, I don't need this. And plus, it's snowing. Remember, I don't like the cold. It's snowing outside. And I don't have nobody to dress the ring. So I'm dressing. After all this got fixed and handled, it's midnight, and I'm dressing the ring.
At midnight.
The producer's walking in because he's still setting up and doing things for the venue.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, aren't you the matchmaker? Because I introduced myself.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And you're dressing up the ring?
No way.
I said, yeah. Because I knew I was going to have a lot of trouble. I've never dressed up a ring. So, short story is I dressed up the ring. I went back to my hotel. The next day's fight night. We go on with the fight. My fight's the co-main event, the one that I made. Humberto Tapia against Jeffrey Resto, Mexico against Puerto Rico. The main event, Escalante wins. There's an article, I still have it today in my office. I'm sorry, before I get to the article. After the fight, I have to break down the ring and put everything back in the bag. And it was like 5 blocks away from the hotel. Again, I remind everybody, just to picture it, it's snowing. I'm walking with the hotel cart back to the hotel with that body bag. I'm freezing, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired. Because I've been in the arena, you gotta remember, when the show starts, you gotta be there 2 hours before the first fight to receive the first group. By the time the show ends, I'm breaking down the ring, everybody's gone. I get to the hotel, and all I want to do is eat. Sorry, kitchen's closed.
No.
And I'm like, okay, can I get room service? Sorry, kitchen's closed.
Damn.
So now I'm just like, I don't need this. I am ready to throw in the towel. I'm done.
It's over.
I'm you know what? This is not for me. This is not what I'm looking for. This is not what. The next day, a newspaper article from the local paper says, this is what matchmaking's all about. And it's talking about the co-main event.
Your fight.
Which was a very clean fight, referee not involved, 8 rounds, competitive, Mexico against Puerto Rico, and Jeffrey Resto won. Puerto Rico won that night. But it was, that gave me the inspiration to say, maybe this is what I could, because I was ready to, you know what, this is not for me. But when I read the article, this is what matchmaking's all about.
That did it for you.
It just, maybe it was, I'm walking out, and this turned me back. And it worked, because here I am 15 years later.
Wow. So were you in Golden Boy when, like, Golden Boy was completely stacked with, I think Figueroa was on there, right?
I signed Omar Figueroa. I personally signed him.
Shit.
We had
Santa
Danny Garcia.
Cruz.
We had Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, Deontay Wilder.
That's right.
Charlo. All the names you named today that are basically retiring. Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares, Daniel Ponce de Leon. They all came up through Golden Boy. They're all Golden Boy alumni.
So you were there in the midst of Golden Boy being at the height of his career, right?
100%.
So how difficult was it, or how difficult is it now for you as a matchmaker to have these fights and oh, well, you know, he's on, you know, PBC or Top Rank, you know, because a lot of people think, oh, it's the fighters, or the fighters don't want to fight each other, you know. But how hard is it being a matchmaker?
It's hard to be a matchmaker because, look, what the fans need to understand is, why don't they make this fight? Why don't they make that fight? That's the easy part. That's the easy part. It's a natural to say, why doesn't Spence fight Crawford? That's the best fight that could be made in the welterweight division.
Yeah.
The hard part is getting through the politics, getting through the father, the mother, the trainer, the husband, the wife. That's the hard part. The fighters, look, 90% of the fighters will fight, and they want to fight. They're just held back by somebody. Whether it's the manager, the trainer, the promoter, but there's always an obstacle. The fighters want to fight. Look, unfortunately today, and hopefully I'm reading news that Spence and Crawford is very close to being done. I hope so, because
I hope so too.
They're both in their 30s.
That's late. That's late though, right?
Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray fought in their 20s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look, that's the difference of the era.
Why do you think it's so important for these fighters to keep their O? Because that's technically what it is, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I haven't lost, but you're dangerous, so you got to make it worth my while to fight you. How do you overcome those obstacles as a matchmaker? Because I think they wiggle around their mandatories, right? Because it's been done before.
Absolutely. The O
Has to go.
It has to. The O came from Mayweather. It worked for Mayweather. But he put this blueprint. So the generations after Mayweather thought I gotta be like Mayweather. I have to have the O. The O is most important. The O is not the most important. Mm-hmm. It worked for Floyd. Floyd, all props to him. An amazing fighter. An amazing businessman.
Yeah.
But if you look back in history, all the greats, my idol, Muhammad Ali, lost. Sugar Ray lost. Marvin Hagler lost. Tommy Hearns lost. Roberto Duran lost many times.
Chavez lost.
Chavez lost. Oscar lost. Trinidad lost. They've all lost.
Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't take it. Arturo Gatti lost so many times. Every time he stepped up. However, he's one of the favorite fighters of many boxing fans because every time he stepped in the ring,
Dio chingazos.
puro corazón.
Yeah.
So, the fans were led to believe the O was the most important thing. But if you really look at it, they enjoy the fight. They don't care. I'll tell you what, Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler, 3 rounds of hell. Nobody remembers who won or lost. I mean, yeah, of course, Hagler won, yes. But you don't really look at that fight to say Hagler won. You look at that fight to say these are the 3 best rounds in the boxing history. Mm-hmm. Katie Taylor recently against Serrano.
Oh my God,
I didn't even care what the decision was.
Wow, that was a fight.
That was a great fight, and I'll remember it as a great fight regardless of who won or lost.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of it doesn't matter the O. Did Serrano lose anything? On the contrary, I think she gained.
She gained. Yeah, she gained a lot.
So that's where boxing has to go back to. The fans need to go back.
Serrano was overlooked, right? She was overlooked for a couple years, actually, right? Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And that fight, it just la subió.
First of all, it brought women's boxing to a plateau that said, wow, this is real.
Right.
Broke records, main event, MSG, but then deliver. There's a lot of fights that are get promoted, great fight, and then they don't deliver.
Yeah.
Last week we had a fight that didn't deliver. I mean, it was just everybody that knew boxing expected this.
Yeah.
But that women's fight, forget about women's or men, was a real fight. You saw style.
Yes.
You saw talent. You saw corazón. Katie Taylor was knocked out.
Yes.
If it would have been a 3-minute round fight,
she would have been done.
She doesn't finish.
Yeah.
But she comes back, adjusts, and starts boxing and moving and not fighting in that fire pit with Serrano. Mm-hmm. And then something happened with Serrano where she starts walking into punches and like, I don't know, it forgets her plan.
It was after she got caught with an uppercut. She got caught with to me, mm-hmm. you might have to go back and watch it, but to me, is after she got cut with that uppercut, she was like, oh shit, like, where am I? Mm-hmm. After that, she started walking forward, her hands dropped a little bit.
And she was walking into punches.
So, to me, it was after that uppercut that she got caught with, is when she was like, discombobbled or... se miraba un poquito perdida.
She did. Yeah. The last few rounds, it was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Now, I picked Serrano to win because I seen her fight, her body shots. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I mean, to be honest, everybody was after, they robbed her, they this, that. I enjoyed the fight.
Yeah.
That's all I thought about. Forget the result. It was an amazing fight, and they got to do it again. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'll be watching, regardless of wins. That's what boxing's about.
It
Great
was
fights.
pay-per-view well spent.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
And that's what we need, man. Like, boxing, to me, boxing's a sport. Hey, you got to leave everything out in the ring. When you jump on your bike and you try to be Floyd, it doesn't work for everybody. It worked for Floyd. You know, just because it worked for Floyd, it doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. You know, and I don't know. That's just me.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, Floyd was, you get a Floyd every 50 years. I mean, it's a special fighter. Now, again, I'll repeat that. I'm back. I'm old school. Give me Floyd against Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray would have whooped his ass because Sugar Ray was fast, defensive, stylish, but he was aggressive. And he smelled blood, he'd knock you out. And Floyd, I'm content with just winning.
Right.
It's two different schools. It's two different. I mean, Floyd, again, he's the most talented of this era. But match him up against Sugar Ray, and Sugar Ray would have whooped him.
Roberto Duran, too.
Roberto was an animal. Roberto was an animal.
One of my favorite fighters of all time.
I hated Roberto Duran because I was such a huge Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
I met Roberto Duran.
Oh,
I'm Roberto Diaz. I had a ring once. Met him. I like your ring. RD.
right.
And I said, I bet you do. I said, the best initials in boxing. And he said, I won't disagree. Obviously in Spanish. Let me see it. Let him see it. He didn't want to give it back.
Right.
I said, Cholo, because I always called him Cholo. When I met him, I said, ese es mi papá, por favor, dámelo. He gave it back. We were in Venezuela a few years back, and we sat down. It was like 20 of us. He's there. And I said, this is obviously a few years, like 5-6 years ago. And I said, I'm a huge Chavez fan. As a Mexican, I grew up, Chavez is our idol. And I said, for many years, it was Chavez, 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 Chavez. Today, knowing what I know, I said, knowing boxing to the level that I believe I know it, and we learn every day. I was once asked in London, as a matchmaker, if you could have matched any fight in the history of boxing, which one would have been? I said, easy. Duran against Chavez. At what weight? 135 to 140, doesn't matter. And they said, who would have won? I said, don't ask me that, because they might not accept me back in Mexico.
You think he would have took him?
Duran would have beat the shit out of him.
Really?
At the time, and look, I love Julio. Julio and I are close, we're friends. But Duran was an animal,
Some completely
He was something
out of this world,
that doesn't,
man.
yeah, I mean, he fought in 5 decades, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. He went from very lightweight, going up to Iran Barkley. First upset against Sugar Ray Leonard. Then he upsets David Moore. Then he upsets Iran Barkley. I mean, this guy was just an animal.
Yeah.
And went over 100 fights. I mean, we just, to all those fans that haven't seen him, maybe see him today,
Yeah.
go back and see.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. Watch some YouTube. Watch Roberto Duran. In those moments where
He was ahead of his time.
he was an animal. You know, the look was a beast. Anger. And he had that Panama school of boxing where you don't get hit. His rolling, I could only compare one other fighter after him, James Toney, to Roberto Duran. Without moving, taking away the punches. The rolling that James Toney did. James Toney is the closest thing that I know to a Duran.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. Not as aggressive, but as calm in the ring as anybody you could see. James Toney was a
I was
bad
actually
dude.
watching highlights of James Toney, not yesterday, maybe Thursday night. Oh shit, that was yesterday. Wednesday night. It was specials, fights on was it ESPN? I forgot where it was on. And you can tell, like, that brought me back to the clip that I was watching. He was just, and he was,
So relaxed.
and he was, like, he was so relaxed that his opponent was getting mad because he couldn't hit him. So lo sacaba de onda. And that's when he would just come in, boom, bah, and just get him.
And he was
Smooth.
a bad dude.
He was smooth.
I mean, he went from middleweight to light heavyweight to heavyweight. He beat Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, he was. Shout out to you, James.
Yeah,
Turner.
yeah.
So right here on the Boxing Club podcast, we like to play a little game called 12 Rounds of Versus. I'm gonna give you two options. You pick one or the other, and it's 12. You know, championship fights go 12 rounds. So I'm gonna start off with tacos or wings,
Tacos, 100%.
burgers or pizza,
Burgers.
Netflix and chill or stay home and relax.
No, Netflix and chill.
Yeah, I mean no, Netflix and chill or a night out on the town.
Depends. If it's Saturday or Friday or Saturday, it's a night out of town.
It's a night out on the town.
Any other night is Netflix and chill.
Okay, so we're going weekends, night out on the town. Penthouse or a cabin?
Penthouse. In Miami, overlooking the ocean.
Dang.
Yeah. Or Cancun.
You look Cuban, by the way.
Everybody tells me Colombian or
You
Cuban.
look Cuban, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out there. Whiskey or tequila?
Whiskey.
All right. I seen that you're a big Louis the 13th fan, right? Right?
100%.
Louis the 13th or Johnny Walker Blue Label?
No, Louis the 13th by far.
Over everything?
Over everything.
I kind of like Blue Label more than Louis the 13th.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it's because I could afford the Blue Label.
I'll give you a story real quick before the ends of the round. Good friend of mine, shout out to Lorenzo Mendez, comes over to the house one night, and we have dinner. And I said, hey, we had sake, we had beer, we had sushi. I said, you want a little shot of Louis 13? He goes, yeah. So open the bottle.
Brand new.
Brand new. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. You finish the bottle. Louis 13 is supposed to be for like a little sip here, a little sip there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't finish a bottle in one night. Unless it's 20 of you. We finish the bottle.
Really?
The next morning I wake up and I saw the bottle empty. I'm like, no mames, pinche Lorenzo. So, if you hear this, if you're listening, you owe me a couple songs, cabrón. We did finish the bottle.
Oh, man.
Just him and I.
Hey, I've had it twice my whole entire life. And it has to be the smoothest, most tasteful whiskey I've ever had. But to me, Johnny Walker Blue Label
Oh, Blue Label's delicious.
is, to me, it's a little bit sweeter. So it goes down a little smoother for me. And that's why I'll edge. And it's a lot cheaper too. But, I you know.
The Louis is a cognac. The Louis is a cognac. And you know what? It's
It's a whiskey cognac or is it just a straight cognac?
Cognac. So you'll get a Louis 13 when it's made, it ages for 100 years. So the person that makes it never tastes his product.
No way.
It's aged for 100 years before it's put in a bottle and put out.
It's a beautiful bottle too.
It's a cristal, delicious.
Ya llegó.
And ya llegó Sergio el bailador.
All right. So that was five. That was five rounds, right?
Okay.
Okay. I think we just touched upon it, but I'm gonna switch it up. Julio Cesar Chavez, and I know this might be hard, and if you don't want to answer it, it's cool. Or Oscar de la Hoya,
That one,
because it's separated, right?
because they fought twice, though. They did fight. So, I mean, Oscar won both.
Yeah, but like my era, I started watching boxing the tail end of Chavez and the beginning of Oscar.
Of Oscar. So the first,
I was like right in the middle.
look, as a fan, when the fights took place, and Oscar, I hope you're not listening. I was a
Shout out, Oscar.
I was a Chavez fan, and it hurt me both times. And Oscar's told me, and it's told many people that it hurt a lot of his family was against him after he beat him.
That hurt me. I've said it on the podcast plenty of times. I hated him for what he did to Chavez.
Yeah.
Because to me, growing up, it was Chavez, Duran, Tyson. And that was my dad's favorite.
So I was a big fan of Oscar up until that moment. And here's the thing that now, step back. Does Oscar, as a fighter, not take the fight? Because, on the contrary, that's the fights that you have to take. And that's like a Canelo today. He's taking on challenges that he shouldn't have taken. You know, right now with Bivol, I've seen so many, like, I don't see Spence fighting Triple G.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Charlo going up and fighting, little Charlo fighting Benavidez. I mean, these guys are not jumping 2 or 3 divisions above their natural weight to fight, to get challenges. Canelo is special. He lost to Bivol. Okay, so what? You know, life goes on. You took a challenge. You've beaten everybody else. Oscar was taking... Who did Oscar not fight?
Well, he fought everybody.
Trinidad, he fought...
I think one of my favorite fights of Oscar de la Hoya is when he fought Whitaker and Ike Corte.
Ike Corte was a bad dude.
Hell yeah,
bad
he was.
dude. And that was a great fight.
I was on my... I didn't even sit down for the whole fight.
And even in the last round, maybe even having it won, he still went out and tried to get the knockout.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, and we talked about it earlier, was the first Chavez fight.
Yeah.
Take out the Chavez fan. If you see that fight, Oscar to me was the best Oscar version that there ever existed. You couldn't get close to him. Julio could not get inside. Cholain Rivera was his trainer from Mérida, Yucatan, who trained Miguel Canto. You could not get inside. Oscar was on his toes.
Touching him up.
And Julio, who bent the waist beautifully, could not get inside. Destroyed him. Now knowing, it's like that was a young baby at the time who beat, he wasn't aged yet. It wasn't the old Julio. We want to say, to find an excuse why Julio lost, ya estaba viejo. Julio was 33, I believe. 33. Canelo's like 33 right now, in his prime.
31.
30, no, he's older.
Isn't he 31?
Canelo has to be, well, he might be 32 this year, July.
I'm going to Google it.
Google it. Because I was at the 31 birthday.
Oh, were you? Nice invite. Okay, Canelo or Mayweather? Round 7.
Today?
Anytime.
Well,
All time.
Mayweather beat him then. It depends on the weight and the time. Canelo destroys Mayweather today. Obviously, Mayweather's older.
Right. 19. Damn, he was born 1990.
32.
30. Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
July.
So he's still 31.
Yep, you won.
So Canelo Mayweather. L.A. or the Bay?
Depends. Baseball, football, basketball, or city.
Let's go city.
LA. 100%.
If you love L.A. so much,
yes.
Why in the hell do you like the Giants? Oh my God.
It's not even so much that I love the Giants. I hate the Dodgers.
Why? Why do you hate the Dodgers if you love L.A.?
Born in San Francisco, so when they put that first shot for chicken pox and all that, they say hate the Dodgers. so it's in my blood. But I love LA all the time, all over, except if you guys want the best burritos that you've ever had in your life, they're from San Fran.
Yeah? Well, that's where the burrito was invented, right?
It was invented in San Francisco, the Mission burrito from the Mission. The Mission is, for those that don't know, it's the East LA of San Francisco. It's the Mexican barrio, it's the Latino barrio.
I always thought that the burrito was invented in Texas for some reason. I don't know why. And then I was mind blown when I was like, San Francisco?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. La Cumbre is still around from 1968, and that's where I grew up, La Cumbre.
So at 7, 8, we're going to go. Would you rather go to the beach or you rather go camping?
Beach.
Beach.
I won't go in the water, but I'm more of the ocean.
I'm telling you, let me see. You like sports cars or you like old schools?
Sports car. I like speed. I like fast.
I saw you pull up in your
Porsche.
In your Porsche.
The Muhammad Ali Porsche.
Oh,
you got to
man.
check that out. You got to check it out.
Chavez or Finito Lopez?
Wow. That's a good one because Finito, to me, is the most unappreciated boxer in history of boxing.
I feel like he's forgotten, right? Like
Yes.
people forget him.
Yes, because he fought in a small division, 51-0, one draw. He should have the record, but the draw, everybody taints it. Stylistically, he was beautiful to watch. But I got to go with Chavez because of opposition. Chavez fought Camacho, Oscar, Whitaker,
Everybody.
Edwin Rosario. He fought everybody. Jose Luis Ramirez. Who didn't he fight? And Finito, unfortunately, didn't have too many dance partners. And that's the thing with boxing. No matter how good you are, you're not going to know how good you really are unless you have that right dance partner.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford could walk through everybody, and that's fine. Spence could walk through everybody, and that's fine. But until they fight each other, we're not going to know who's the best because those are the two best right now in the division.
All right, last one, round 12. Sunset or sunrise?
That's a good one. If you, you know what? Sunrise.
Why?
It's who you wake up with, not who you go to sleep with.
Damn.
It might be the same person, but hey, it's at the end of the night or at the end of it's who you wake up and see the sun with and when you're getting up and getting ready to go.
All right. That's good. All right, so now I'm going to fast forward to now times. You guys have Ryan Garcia. Golden Boy has Virgil Ortiz, Jojo Diaz. You guys still at Wilder?
No.
No?
Wilder, we signed from pro debut, and his last fight with Golden Boy was when he beat Stavern and won the world title. 33-0, world champion, and that was our last fight.
Oh, okay. So after everybody left, the Abdermates, the Santa Cruz, everybody.
The Heyman Group.
The Heyman Group. Yeah, I didn't want to say that. but yeah, you get it. How is the rebuilding stage for Golden Boy, and what is the main attraction to bring the up-and-coming fighters? Because I know you guys are big on West Side Boxing with Pimpon. I met Pimpon at the Marv Nation event I think it was in January. I love the kid. His fans come out for him and root like no other. Go check out our Pimpon YouTube. His family, all Chicali, all Cachanillas, crazy, hype, West Side Boxing. I know you guys are big on West Side Boxing. How is the rebuilding stage to bring Golden Boy back to the top tiers? Or I wouldn't say back to the top, but like to make it appealing for fighters to come and sign for Golden Boy?
Look, that's again the odds is the drive. It's that's the beauty. You know, once the split that many call it, and many of the big name fighters left.
Porque se fueron todos de un chingadazo, right?
Yeah. It was Danny Garcia, Broner, Charlo, Wilder, Spence, all of them. It was a challenging moment, but it was also personally for me, and I'm talking for me, I'm saying it was like a relief. Okay, let's start from fresh. Let's start new. I'm not worried about one thing with Oscar, because he fought at the highest level. and he fought everybody.
Yeah.
One thing with Oscar, and that's the beauty of boxing, when you're top boss, when your boss did what he's preaching, stepped in the ring and fought, is he's not cherry picking fights. He's not looking for, hey, why didn't we win this one? Why didn't we win that one? What? I don't like that. My deal is, hey, let's make fights. We are known at Golden Boy for matching our kids tough. And I love that. I take pride of that.
Yeah.
Because when you sign up and you want to be a fighter, there's a process. From 0 to 5, from 0 to 8, from 0 to 9, depending on the fighter, baby steps. From 10 to 15, step it up. 15 to 20, papi, ¿sabes qué?
A chingarle.
Now it's your time. So we have been known and we have the reputation of putting in our fighters tough. But we build them and get them ready for that. At the end of the day, we want to provide our fans good fights, tough fights. Virgil Ortiz, for example.
I love the kid.
Virgil is a kid that every step, every test, he's passed with flying colors. 19-0, 19 knockouts.
His last fight with, what's his name from Houston?
Mean Machine. He fought Mean Machine. Maurice Hooker.
Maurice Hooker. Everybody thought that he wasn't going to do so good. And look what he did. It was amazing.
But
Right?
he's being built that way.
Right.
It's not like one day to the next.
So
Franco, a kid from San Antonio, Joshua Franco. 3
my
fights.
cousin knows him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
3 fights with Oscar Negrete. You don't do a trilogy for 10 rounds when it's not world title fights. But they were so good. Every fight was so good and so close that they fought 3 times in 10 rounders.
Really?
That prepared them. When they called us from Top Rank, said, hey, we got a world title fight for your kid. You want to take it? I called Robert Garcia and I said, I like it. Let's do it. He goes, let's do it. And Franco won the world title because he had been... Obviously, there has to be talent.
Yeah.
But if the talent hasn't been built to get there, then it could flop. If it's only easy fights, first round knockout, the first time you face adversity, it could go wrong.
Yeah.
So you like to build it. And one thing at Golden Boy, once that split happened, it was like, okay, let's start from scratch. We know we can do it. We know we can build from 0 to a world champion. We've done it before. And we did it again, right? It takes 4 to 5 years because when you get a kid from 0, normally by the time they're 18 and 20, they're fighting for their first world title. That's where we are with this next generation. Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, Jojo Diaz, Joshua Franco. I mean, this is that new group. And then here comes another group. So it's always evolving. It's always, the revolution, the come up.
Yeah. I'm very big on ping-pong, to be honest with you.
Going back to the West Side, yes, we are very close to the West Side. They've shown us so much loyalty. Very close with the gym, with the fathers, the brothers, Saucedo brothers.
Shout out to Westside Boxing.
Shout out to Jose, Nacho, y el papá, el grande, el jefe. It's not only ping-pong. Through the years, they've brought us so many young fighters. And you know what? Not only the fighters, but the gym, the Saucedo brothers, Westside, they push tickets crazy.
Yeah.
And
I can tell.
They've showed loyalty. And you know what? That's where you say, oh, I don't care who you're bringing me. He might be a great talent. Yes, I'll take him. Of course. I'd be stupid if I didn't.
Right.
He's not so talented. I don't want him. No. It's good and bad and whatever comes next because you've shown loyalty and you're with us. So whatever you bring, this is your home.
That's cool. I ran into you, 3 weeks ago at Fantasy Springs. Hey, that show was live, man.
Which, Mercito Gesta and Joel Diaz Jr.?
No, the one after that with Tito Acosta.
Tito Acosta.
Yeah.
Tito Acosta.
Oh, my God. Hey, that whole card was great.
Thank you.
The kid from Washington.
Victor Morales.
Ese
Victor
way.
Morales, El Tornado.
Yeah.
So I'll tell
I
you a
enjoyed
little
watching
story.
that
I'll
kid.
tell you a little story on Victor. It was a point where we weren't going to sign any more fighters. We were pretty much 90 in the stable.
God damn, really?
Yeah. And just know that as many fighters as you have, they're always calling, when am I fighting? When am I fighting? And I'm going crazy. Victor Morales, his management team, we're very close with, Sheer Sports. Lyle calls me and says, hey, we got this kid, watch some video, watch video. Very exciting, very fun, TV friendly.
And he had a big crowd, too.
And a good looking kid.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, yes, Lyle, he's good, he has the look, he has everything, but I'm really full right now. Can't sign him. Okay, no problem. I'm at Fantasy Springs, and I see the kid sitting in the corral as a guest, in a suit, with the hanky, with the cufflinks, good-looking kid.
Presentable.
I would never even have thought, oh, that's a fighter. I'm thinking maybe he's one of the talents. He's going to announce the fight or something. And I approach him. I said, hey, you're Victor Morales, right? And he stood up. Yes, I am. Pleased to meet you. Very pleasant. Very articulate. Very well-spoken. And I said, Lyle, I'm signing the kid. Let's work on a deal. Wow. I was sold on the fight. Yes, he could fight. You got to fight. At the end of the day, you got to fight. But when I met him outside the ring, I was really impressed with the person, Victor Morales. And right now, undefeated, going on to bigger and better things. Hopefully, we can get an international title next, and then start getting into the rankings for the world ranking, for the world title.
I'm big on that kid too. So I've been doing my homework, just FYI. And man, these kids that I'm watching, and I'm trying to watch all the new talent. I want to get them, and I want to get familiar with them, because I want to support whoever I can.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Tito Costa did an amazing job, first round knockout. Saludos, Tito.
Barrio Obrero.
So Ryan Garcia's fighting Fortuna a couple weeks. Let's say he wins. He's been on the internet. I don't care what Golden Boy says. Whatever. I want the tank.
He didn't say it like that, but yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean, right?
I get it.
He said it first, and then he went back and he kind of readjusted his words.
Okay. He was heated at the moment.
Yeah, he was hype. Yeah. I get it, and I'm not trying to be messy.
No, of course not.
But is there a possible fight with Ryan Garcia and Tank at the end of the year?
Absolutely. If Ryan wants it. Look, there's one thing with Golden Boy. We've worked with Don King. We've worked with Main Events. We've worked with Top Rank. We've worked with Matchroom. We're willing to work with anybody. Anybody's not willing to work with us, that's a different story. Right. It has to be two to tango.
Right.
There has to be two to go to the dance. Now, Ryan wants to fight Gervonta. Should Ryan beat Fortuna? Then let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it. Hey, I'd love it because you know what? It's Mayweather and Oscar all over again. As promoters, they're not stepping in the ring.
Right.
But both their gallos are stepping in the ring. And I'm so confident that we've built Ryan and that Ryan's talent, and I'm not saying all respect to Gervonta, he's a tremendous fighter, but they've babied him. And that's what I'm saying about earlier, that we're known to not baby. Mm-hmm. And the way to get to the top and win, because you could get to the top and lose.
Right.
I could take you 20-0, 20 knockouts, all in the first round. Fighting against nobody. But once you fight somebody and he hits back, you're done.
Right.
No disrespect. Rolly was undefeated until he fought somebody.
Yeah.
That's the example.
It's the reality.
Exactly. And Ryan has fought adversity. He got dropped. He fought an Olympian gold medalist, and he got up and knocked him out. So I'm very confident. He's fighting a southpaw for a reason. Preparation. Let's get ready. Right. But Gervonta, your side has to want it just as much as our side. It can't just be
You hear
us.
That, Tank? You hear that, Tank? You gotta want it as bad as Golden Boy, bro. So you better come out here and dance, dog, because everybody want to see that fight.
Everybody wants to see the fight. And look, at the end of the day, it's not who wins and who loses. And let's put a point here. I got you. Let's give fans what they want.
Yeah.
The best fights.
And I'm a fan, so I want to see it.
Beautiful.
So I know, how's Virgil doing? Because I know that he had to pull out from his last fight porque estaba malito. So how's his recuperation, and what's next for Virgil Ortiz?
Virgil is a beast. Virgil is a mean machine. Even though he beat him last time, he's the mean machine. Virgil's in camp. He's training, getting ready for his next fight. August 6th, expect Virgil back. He will be back.
August 6th?
August 6th.
Here in LA?
We're still working on venue, most likely Texas.
I got to fly to Texas.
You got to fly to Texas.
No,
it's on me. It's on me. You're on. We have to.
All right, you said it. It's on camera.
Absolutely.
It's recorded, everything. I have two more questions for you. Oscar de la Hoya, Canelo came up with Golden Boy, signed by Oscar de la Hoya. How bad or how did it feel when they split and they started butting heads? How did that hurt Golden Boy at all, or?
Whenever you lose a fighter like Canelo, obviously there's shit, but it's part of life. It's part of boxing. Look, husband and wife divorce over a remote control sometimes. There was a show in Mexico called Hasta en las Mejores Familias. It's part of boxing. Boxers leave, trainers leave, promoters leave, fighters, managers leave. I mean, it's part of boxing. And I'm just happy and proud to have been part of the majority. When nobody knew him to where everybody knew him. Because today, it's extra.
Yeah.
Anything he does now, it's extra. But as I said about the other champions, they're Golden Boy alumni.
Right.
Because once a Golden Boy, always a Golden Boy.
Right. Now, this might be a little touchy subject, maybe not. You're a cancer survivor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that, just to help people know, that it's possible that hay chanza, it's I've had family that's, didn't make cancer. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I don't really bring it up a lot because it's not, it's something that happened so long ago that sometimes I forget that it even happened. But it's there because I know what I went through.
Right.
I had third stage. When they found out, I was young. I was in my 30s, 33, 34. I had all the symptoms prior, but I always, as a man, you don't get educated. Like with women, they tell you, hey, check when you're in the shower, check your breast and check the. As a man, you're never really educated to check anything.
Right.
So I had the symptoms, but I thought, and what were the symptoms? Okay, I threw up a lot of blood. The bowl was full of blood. And I'm like, fuck. Ulcer. Cut down on the drinking, on the hot sauce, on the chile, on the this, on the that. And I'd stop. Melox here, Melox there. And I'd feel good for a couple weeks, and then back, and back, and back. Finally, one day I'm really sick. I go into the hospital, they check me in, and sure enough, a few days later, diagnosed with cancer, stage 3. We got to start chemo right away. You hear cancer, and it's like, and again, I'm 30-something years old. I had el tío, el tía, la tía, el primo, somebody. It was never really close, but you had heard somebody got cancer. Most of the time, they died. So when I'm told we got to start chemo right away, I'm like, shit, well, I don't want to die. 30-something years old, I got 2 little boys. All right, start chemo. I got so sick, Chubbs. I was dying. The treatment was worse than the illness, because the illness, I was feeling stuff. I wasn't feeling good, but I wasn't sick. I just didn't feel right. The treatment was killing me.
Really?
And I went through it. It was horrible. It was horrible. But gracias a Dios, gracias a mi familia, the support system, that had a lot to do with it. Barrera in the fight. If you guys watch, and I invite everybody to go watch, Marco Barrera against Johnny Tapia.
Well, that's another one that I used to watch growing up.
Marco, after the fight, wins the fight and dedicates the fight to me.
Oh, really?
Because that's the fight. I didn't make it. I don't make it to the fight. I'm battling cancer. So he says, Roberto, I just had a fight. These gloves are for you. I still have the gloves framed up with the trunks and everything. Got really emotional. That was at a time when I wasn't in the hospital. I was at home. I'm watching the fight. And he dedicates it after in the interview. They called me later. Hey, did you see the interview? I was tearing and crying. And I learned a lot from cancer. Dark days don't last forever. I learned, again, I said it earlier, let's learn from our fighters, from our idols, from the fighters that we watch. Don't throw the towel in. You got to keep fighting. And if any message I can give, it's we're all going to go through obstacles. We're all going to go through tough times, whether it's cancer, whether it's a death in the family, whether it's something. It's not going to last forever. Keep fighting and believe in yourself. Stand up. Get that corner behind you and fight. Because we're built to survive. We're built to fight, and we're built to win.
Man, that's crazy. And, gracias a Dios, we're here. You're here. You're healthy. You beat it. Not a lot of people are very lucky. I hope that was okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I said, we want to get to know who you are, right? Overcoming those obstacles, overcoming cancer and beating it is what makes you the man that you are today, right? And I don't want to end this episode on that, you know what I mean? So real quick, I saved this for last because I watch you guys when you guys come on. Thursday is. How did that come about? How? Because it's hilarious. Pobrecito Toño, man. Hey, Toño, bro, I got your back, man. I got your back. Man, Beto was hard on Toño. How did that podcast come about? And because you guys have really good chemistry, your relationship with Joel Diaz and Toño, obviously, and Beto Duran, dude. We are where we at because we interviewed Beto. He gave us so much game. He was like, why ain't you at this show? Why ain't you at that show? You're in LA. You can't drive. You're mobile. Why ain't you there? Don't give me that bullshit excuse. No. Figure it out. Get there. Get out
shout
there.
Out to Beto.
Yes.
Because Beto is one of those guys that, in his own way, he will push for you to do what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier, a lot of the raza is trying to keep you down. Beto's actually pushing because he's very happy to be one of the only Latinos on mainstream commentating and this and that, but he's pushing others to, come on, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Beto's a mentor to my youngest, and he told him, my advice to you, stay away from broadcasting. But if you want to do it, then come hang with me. So,
yeah.
Shout out to Beto.
Yeah, man. Beto is, he opened up our mind.
Beto's a good guy. It started in COVID. I think there was...
I think everybody started in COVID.
It was like, what do we do? What do we do? Beto calls me one day and says, hey, we've been in COVID. People are getting crazy. You want to do a podcast for a couple weeks here and there. It's like, yeah, sure. Nothing else to do. We're all in lockdown. Okay, we'll call it. It's you, Joel, and
Roberto Diaz.
yeah, Thursday Diaz. Or I don't know how the name came up, and it's like, all right, whatever. And we started talking boxing, and then, wow, we're getting so many followers, and people are asking questions, and people. So every Thursday, I mean, I was in Puerto Vallarta one Thursday. We're doing it. I'm somewhere else. I'm here. I'm there. But it was like, hold on, I got to do my Thursdays.
It's funny.
Next thing you know, he goes, it's a year. It's a 2-year. So it's like, it's been fun. It's been fun. And trust me, I wouldn't be doing it if the people wouldn't be asking. I get texts, hey, how come you guys canceled today? How come I've had people tell me I listen to it while I'm cutting the garden, like on the podcast, while I'm working, while I'm driving, Monchis, shout out to Monchis and Nino Sandoval. He told me, hey, while I'm driving the trucks, I'm listening to Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's like when people
I was actually looking forward to yesterday, and I was like,
Beto's
damn it,
Beto's out of the country. Yeah.
And that's for everybody that's not in tune with Thursday Diaz. It's Joel Diaz, it's Roberto Diaz, it's Beto Duran, and every now and then they let Toño in.
Toño's the little black sheep of the family.
Oh man, it's hilarious. Beto beats him up all the time, and it's just so hilarious. You guys have this chemistry that it's seamless. You know how you guys bounce off each other beautifully, and even though it's through a computer, through a Zoom, I could just imagine you guys being live next to each other.
We haven't all been together because it's been Beto and Joel, or I haven't even told Beto, hey, let's do it at Malbec one day. We've been together here.
I told Beto, I think you guys were on the podcast when the first time you announced that you guys were going to start doing shows at Fantasy Springs. I was watching that episode when you first announced it, and I jumped on real quick, and I was like, hey, I'll take the equipment. I'll set up. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. And it just, se nos fue. You know, people were out of town. Nobody was there. So I would love to do a joint podcast with you guys.
Absolutely.
That would be so much fun.
We'll be back in July. I'll let you know the date exactly. I'm already working on the card. We'll be back in July in Indio, Fantasy Springs, so we will definitely do something together.
Yes, for sure. I had another question, but this is a good conversation. Thank you so much for everything, man.
I want to give you some, like, just for the fans, because sometimes the fans say, oh, they only talk about their fights. And this. No, I'm a boxing fan. So I love boxing. And when it's good fights, I'm there. Let's talk about upcoming fights. Some of these good upcoming fights.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay. Cambosos and Haney.
Look, we were on this podcast. Everybody was on the teal train. Everybody was on the teal train. Me and my podmate, we chose Cambosos to win. Ustedes no saben nada. You guys don't know shit about boxing. So we made a shirt with the acronym YDKSHB. You don't know shit about boxing. So we made that shirt. It's coming soon, so stay tuned. Because we were right. We're underdogs. I root for the underdog a lot. I rooted for Rolly. And I thought he was winning the fight until he got caught. When Cambosos dropped Tio, everybody went crazy. Oh my God. I expected that. Because I've seen Cambosos. Ese way, when he's locked in, he's a warrior. He's got a Spartan tattoo on his back. That tells you a lot about who he is. I think that Haney's going to give him a lot more trouble than Tio did. Because Haney can move. But Haney's not really a power puncher. If Haney gets caught, which I think he will get caught, how he got caught when he fought...
Jorgito Linares.
Yes. Linares wobbled him. Gacho.
Yep.
If Kambosos gets that same shot, Haney don't get up. That's my opinion. I would love for Kambosos to remain undisputed. That's who I'm picking because I want to see Kambosos and Lomachenko.
Okay. Here's my take.
School me.
No. A difference of opinion with the same result.
Okay.
I think Haney's a tremendous talent.
Me too.
I've lost twice to him. Jojo and Linares.
Oh, hey, but that was a good fight with Jojo.
And I thought both times I would beat him. But he surprised me. He knows how to use his distance. He knows how to slow the fight down. He's very talented.
Oh, he's from the Bay too.
And that even gives him that plus. I think he's from the Fillmore. Not from the Mission, but from the Fillmore. But he's the more talented fighter. However, I believe he's fighting in an environment he's never fought before. He's always been home turf.
Is his dad still over here?
His dad will make it out to the fight.
Oh, he will?
He will make it out to the fight. But now they're fighting in front of 50,000 crazy Australians that are going to be rooting against him.
Aussie. Oh.
And now you have a fighter that's not Linares and Jojo waiting to counter you.
He's coming to get you.
He's coming forward and throwing. I think he will make Haney uncomfortable. I think the atmosphere is going to be big. First time out of the U.S. Not only out of the U.S., in his backyard, everything against you. I see a unanimous decision in favor of Kambosos. Not because he's the more talented. I think Haney's still the more talented. Mm-hmm. But I think home field advantage.
Too much pressure?
And the pressure is going to get to him. I do. Spence and Crawford.
I take Spence. Even though I feel Crawford had a tougher route to get where he's at, I feel. I wanted to see Spence and Virgil. I thought that would have been great. Or Virgil and Bud. I think Virgil takes both of them.
Wow.
Personally.
Beautiful.
I'm not telling you that just because.
No, that's because your family's from Texas.
You know, I'm gonna tell you a story about that. When Tank fought the kid from San Antonio,
Barrios.
Mario
Yes.
Barrios.
Yes.
I rooted for Barrios because he's from San Antonio, and I lost money on that. But yeah, maybe because Virgil's from Texas, but I love his style.
No, Virgil's a different beast.
I'm gonna tell you something when we get off the mic, but I'm a huge Virgil fan, and my podmate, we love Virgil. I feel that he takes Bud and Spence. I really do. I don't feel like they face anybody as strong as Virgil or as versatile, because I feel like Virgil can box and he can bang. He can do both. And he's only getting better.
No, absolutely. Virgil is still maturing. He's still young, growing. And time will tell. Time will show that he will beat anybody who's in front of him.
Yeah.
Between Bud and Spence, and I worked with Spence many years, and I'm close to Spence as distant as we are. I'm still close to him because I appreciate him. I admire him. I send him every once in a while, hey, all the best, here and there. Stylistically, maybe before the accident, maybe I would have said Spence. I see something in Bud where his adjustments, and I'll take it a step further. I rarely say this. A fighter from the 80s losing to a fighter today. Okay? Mm-hmm. I read something on Twitter the other day when they said, what would have happened if Spence fought Aaron Pryor? Aaron Pryor was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I said, wow. It's a good fight. I never liked mythical fights because I waste your time thinking of everybody has their own perception. That day I said, wow, this one really caught my attention because I said, it's a good fight. Mm. And as much as I went over it, I don't see Pryor beating Crawford. I don't see Crawford. And I've always said 80s fighters beat 2000s and much more today's. 80s was my great era. I said Crawford knocks out Pryor.
Yeah?
That was my... So thinking of that Crawford, he's not going to knock out Spence. But I see the adjustments. Southpaw, right-handed. A different speed. He'll pick up a different speed. He'll hit second and third gear where he can change up the speeds. And Spence inside the pocket, you're not going to take his body shots. You're not going to... He'll counterpunch you. But outside, and I think Crawford will keep the fight outside at a distance, mid-range. Crawford by decision.
Yeah?
Yeah. Usyk and Joshua, the rematch.
Usyk. I like Usyk. He's just a dog. He's a dog. Although I think Joshua has a lot of finesse. He's a boxer. You know, he's a true boxer. Usyk has footwork. He has power. I like Usyk. You know, shorter, stockier guy. I just feel like those guys over there are something different. Look at Beck. He's a whole different animal. I feel Usyk is the same way.
I agree. It's going to be a tough fight. Andy Ruiz messed up in the rematch because he didn't take it serious. He partied, and Joshua took it serious. I think Joshua now with Robert Garcia is going to learn some new things.
What do you think about that?
It's different.
I was like, this is different.
It's different because, look, European fighter with a Mexican-style brawler type trainer, because Robert is more of that, you know, the Brandon Rios, the let's go chingadazos type trainer. It surprised me, but Robert is a good trainer, has a lot of experience. If Joshua can use what he has, which is height, reach, and leg work, keep him outside, box, jab, I think he could win. I don't think he could stop him. Usyk's a strong guy mentally and physically, but I think Joshua can, if he keeps it on the outside, boxing, getting points, making it a boring fight, I think he can capture the title back.
I think he's going to stay his distance until he gets caught. Then he's going to get shook and just be defensive. And when he fights defensive,
then it's done. He's done. Absolutely. Zurdo Ramirez against Bivol.
Bivol takes that. We just had this conversation our last episode. Zurdo, Bivol, that's next. Zurdo can box. Bivol can take shots. I don't know. I took Bivol. I took Bivol, and that was, everybody called me crazy for that because Zurdo is a boxer. I'm like, but so is Bivol. But I feel like Bivol hits harder because I have a friend that spars both of them, and they tell me that Bivol hits harder.
Benavides?
Yeah. No, not Benavides.
No?
Angel Lozano, the kid. He's with Toyo. He's a homie. Shout out to you, Angel.
Angel.
He sparred Zurdo and Bivol, and he was like, that's how I get the inside scoop.
Sure. I got to go with Zurdo. He's my guy. Bivol, I have all the respect. I mean, he did a tremendous job. Great, all props to him. Zurdo wants it. Zurdo knows something. They sparred many times.
You think he'll break Floyd's record?
It's far away. It's far, far away. I mean, we're 43-0.
44?
44 and 0.
44 no? With his last
44-0.
one.
Yeah, so it's still 6, 7, 8 fights away. Hey, we could only hope and try.
I to be honest with you, and not just because he's been on the podcast, but I think Joel Diaz is doing a hell of a job over there in Indio. You know, he's not training fighters, he's training monsters.
No, Joel is from not now. Now he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. But when you get a trainer, look, there's fighters come to me times, or fathers come to me and said, who's the best trainer? Who's the best trainer? There's no such thing as the best trainer. It depends on the fighter and the trainer, the click. Because the best trainer for him might not be the best trainer for him. There's great trainers, but there's teachers. There's also
that's a difference, right?
It's a big difference.